The diplomatic incident. The star cruiser Horizon glided silently through the depths of space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight. Captain Nora Ray stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the viewscreen that displayed their destination, the massive space station that marked the edge of Vorsic territory. "Communications check complete, Captain," reported Lieutenant Way, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Ambassador Jackson's team is ready for the diplomatic exchange." Nora nodded, her expression revealing nothing of the anxiety churning in her stomach. Humanity had encountered many alien species since achieving faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. But the Vorsic Imperium was different. Aggressive, territorial, and technologically advanced, they had rebuffed previous attempts at diplomatic relations. This meeting represented years of careful negotiation and was humanity's best chance to avoid a devastating war. "Send my regards to the ambassador," she said, "and remind him that the Horizon will maintain position at the agreed coordinates. If anything seems off, we're only 30 minutes away at maximum burn." The ship's AI, projected a holographic representation of Ambassador Daniel Jackson onto the bridge. The tall, distinguished diplomat adjusted his formal uniform, the Silver Earth Unified Government insignia gleaming on his chest. "Captain Rice, you worry too much," Jackson said with a confident smile. "The Vorsic have finally agreed to these talks. They wouldn't risk interstellar backlash by harming an official diplomatic delegation. The Vorsic have attacked 3 of our survey vessels in the past year alone," Ambassador, Nora countered. "They claimed it was due to territorial violations, but those ships were well within neutral space, which is precisely why these negotiations are so important," Jackson replied. "We need clear boundaries and protocols. The alternative is continued hostility that could easily escalate." Nora couldn't argue with his logic, but her military instincts screamed caution. The Vorsic had a reputation for seeing diplomacy as a sign of weakness. "Just keep your emergency transponder active," she finally said. "And may your silver tongue work its magic, Ambassador." Jackson's hologram gave a small bow before disappearing. Minutes later, Nora watched as the diplomatic shuttle detached from the Horizon and made its way toward the massive Vorsic station, a structure resembling a metallic sea urchin with spines extending in all directions. "Maintain continuous monitoring of all communications," she ordered. "I want to know the second anything seems unusual." As the shuttle docked with the station, the bridge crew fell into a tense silence, broken only by the soft beeping of the ship's systems. Deep inside the Vorsic station, High Commander Zoltak observed the human shuttle's approach on a 3-dimensional display. His scaled skin shimmered with iridescent blues and greens under the station's harsh lighting, 4 compound eyes tracking every movement of the incoming vessel. "They send only 5 representatives," noted his second-in-command, Vexer. "Either they are foolish or arrogant." "Or both," Zoltak responded, mandibles clicking softly. "Humans have survived in the galaxy thus far through cleverness and adaptability, not strength. Today, we will learn whether they possess the wisdom to accept their proper place." The High Commander turned to face the assembled Vorsic Military Council. "The Supreme Sovereign has given clear instructions. We will hear these humans, we will appear to negotiate, but we will not yield. The resource-rich Proxima systems belong to the Imperium by right of discovery. Their colonies there are an affront to our sovereignty. And if they refuse to withdraw?" asked Counselor Zres, her voice carrying the distinctive metallic resonance of the Elder caste. Zoltak's mandibles spread in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Then we shall give them a demonstration of why the Vorsic Imperium has ruled this sector for 10,000 cycles." The first day of negotiations proceeded better than Captain Rice had expected. Ambassador Jackson reported cordial, if formal, exchanges with the Vorsic representatives. The humans were treated to a ceremonial feast featuring foods compatible with human physiology, specially prepared by Vorsic biologists. "I think we've made genuine progress," Jackson told Nora during their encrypted evening briefing. They've acknowledged our right to free passage through the Sirius corridor, which is more than any previous delegation achieved. What about the disputed colonies? Nora asked, referring to the 3 human settlements established in the Proxima system years before the Vorsic claimed it as their territory. Jackson's expression tightened slightly. That remains the sticking point. They insist those worlds were always within their sphere of influence, despite having no prior presence there. Because they're rich in rare earth elements and helium-3, Nora said, naming the resources that powered humanity's expansion among the stars. Precisely. Tomorrow we present our historical survey data, proving the systems were unclaimed when we arrived. I believe we can reach a compromise, perhaps shared mining rights with primary governance remaining with our colonies. Nora nodded, though skepticism nagged at her. The Vorsic weren't known for compromise. Stay alert, Ambassador. I don't trust their sudden willingness to talk. Jackson smiled confidently. Trust is built one conversation at a time, Captain. We're making history here. Those were the last words Ambassador Jackson would ever say to her. The morning of the 3rd day brought silence from the diplomatic team. No scheduled check-in, no response to communications. The Vorsic station commanders claimed a temporary communications issue and assured the Horizon that the human delegation was continuing productive discussions. By midday, Nora had moved the Horizon closer to the station, despite protests from Vorsic traffic control. Scan for human life signs, she ordered, pacing the bridge. Aria's voice was calm but concerned. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the station's central hub. They appear to be preparing their weapon systems. Before Nora could respond, Lieutenant Wei called out, Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the station. The view screen flickered to life, showing High Commander Zaltak. Behind him stood several Vorsic military officers. Captain Reyes, Zaltak began, his translated voice eerily flat. The Vorsic Imperium regrets to inform you of an unfortunate incident during our diplomatic exchange. Nora's blood ran cold. Where is Ambassador Jackson and his team? A regrettable biological incompatibility occurred during the night cycle, Zaltak continued, ignoring her question. Despite our medical team's best efforts, your representatives suffered catastrophic systemic failures. You're saying they just died? Nora asked incredulously. All 5 experienced diplomats with standard immunological protections just happened to die simultaneously. Zaltak's compound eyes gleamed. As a gesture of good faith, we are returning Ambassador Jackson to your care. The others have already been processed according to Vorsic tradition for honored guests. A small Vorsic transport detached from the station, moving toward the Horizon. Captain, Aria interjected privately through Nora's neural link. I'm detecting only partial biological matter aboard that transport. No life signs. Nora maintained her composure with military discipline, though rage threatened to overwhelm her. We expect the ambassador's immediate return, Commander Zaltak, along with an explanation that our scientists can verify. Of course, Zaltak replied. The Vorsic Imperium values transparency. We will transmit all relevant medical data. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Intercept that transport, Nora ordered, and get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. The contents of the transport confirmed Nora's worst fears. Ambassador Jackson had been returned in pieces, systematically dissected. Preliminary analysis by the ship's medical AI indicated the dismemberment had occurred while Jackson was still alive. The data transmitted by the Vorsic was equally damning, not for what it contained, but for what it revealed. The files included detailed anatomical studies of human physiology, including observations on pain thresholds and tissue resilience that could only have been gathered through methodical experimentation. This wasn't a diplomatic incident. It was a calculated act of terror. As the Horizon accelerated away from Vorsic space, maintaining just enough distance to avoid open hostilities, Nora stood before the assembled crew. Their faces reflected shock, grief, and mounting anger. What we have witnessed today is not just the murder of Ambassador Jackson and his team, she said, her voice steadied despite her fury. It is a deliberate message from the Vorsic Imperium. They believe humanity is weak, that we will respond to this atrocity with fear and retreat. She activated a holographic display showing the Vorsic fleet movements. Their warships were already positioning near the disputed Proxima colonies. They expect us to abandon our people and our principles, Nora continued. They expect us to run. Her dark eyes moved from face to face among her crew. They don't understand humanity. We have tried peace. We have extended the hand of friendship across the stars. And they have answered with brutality. The ship's communication system chimed, indicating an incoming transmission from Earth Command. Nora accepted it, and the stern face of Admiral Helena Chen appeared on the main view screen. Captain Rice, we've received your report and evidence, the Admiral said without preamble. The Security Council has met in emergency session. As of 800 Universal Time, Earth and all human colonies are now in a state of war with the Vorsic Imperium. Murmurs spread across the bridge, quickly silenced as Admiral Chen continued. The Horizon is ordered to rendezvous with the 7th Fleet at Proxima Station. From there, you will join Operation Reciprocity. Operation Reciprocity, Admiral? Nora asked. A cold smile touched the Admiral's lips. For 20 years, we've maintained a peaceful posture in the galaxy, Captain. Many species, including the Vorsic, have mistaken this for weakness. It's time to correct that misconception. The Admiral's image was replaced by classified deployment orders and technical specifications that made Nora's eyes widen. Earth had been preparing for this possibility for longer than anyone outside the highest military circles knew. They wanted war, Nora said quietly to her executive officer as the crew prepared for faster-than-light jump. They're about to discover they don't know what war with humans truly means. As the Horizon disappeared into the swirling vortex of hyperspace, the first phase of humanity's response was already underway. Across human space, hidden military installations activated, sleeper agents moved into position, and weapons platforms that had been disguised as scientific outposts revealed their true purpose. The Vorsic had made a fatal error. They had judged humanity by its diplomatic overtures, not realizing those overtures were genuine. But so was humanity's capacity for righteous vengeance when pushed too far. Earth had only needed one reason to go to war. The Vorsic had given them that reason in the most brutal way possible. They would soon learn the consequences. Humanity unleashed. High Commander Zoltak paced the command deck of his flagship, the Sovereign's Claw, mandibles clicking in agitation. The holographic displays surrounding him showed the initial Vorsic assault on the human colony of New Terra in the Proxima system. An assault that should have been a swift demonstration of Imperium power, but had instead become a humiliating disaster. Explain, he demanded of his tactical officer, who cowered beneath his commander's multifaceted glare. How did a primitive mining colony repel our attack fleet? Unknown defensive technology, High Commander, the officer replied, antennae flat against his head in submission. The humans activated some kind of energy shield around their major settlements. Our preliminary bombardment had no effect. And the subsequent ground invasion. The tactical officer hesitated before answering. 20% of our forces made it to the surface. None have reported back. Zoltak slammed his clawed appendage against the tactical display, causing the hologram to flicker. Impossible. Their defensive capabilities were fully mapped by our intelligence services. They have no military presence in the Proxima system. Another officer approached cautiously. High Commander, we're receiving reports from across Vorsic space. Human vessels have appeared near 6 of our outer colonies. They're not attacking, just watching. Zoltak's compound eyes narrowed. A bluff. They cannot possibly have mobilized a fleet that quickly. These must be automated drones or merchant ships repurposed to create the illusion of force. The communications officer interrupted. Incoming transmission from the human flagship. High Commander. They're requesting to speak with you directly. Zoltak straightened his ceremonial armor. Put them through. Let us hear what excuses they offer before their inevitable surrender. The holographic display shifted to show Captain Nora Reyes, her expression calm and resolute. High Commander Zoltak, she began without formal greeting. The unified Earth government has authorized me to offer you one opportunity to withdraw your forces from all human settlements and pay reparations for the murder of our diplomatic delegation. Zoltak's mandibles spread in what humans would recognize as laughter. Captain Rice, your species' audacity continues to amuse. You have witnessed merely the first wave of the Imperium's might. Your colony's defenses may have surprised us, but they will not withstand a concentrated assault. Nora's expression didn't change. You misunderstand, Commander. This isn't a negotiation. It's a courtesy notification. In 20 minutes, Operation Reciprocity begins. I suggest you use that time wisely. Before Zoltak could respond, the transmission ended. He turned to his officers, fury emanating from every pore of his iridescent skin. Prepare all weapons. Target there. The tactical display suddenly erupted with alarm signals as sensors detected multiple energy signatures materializing throughout the system. High Commander, unknown vessels appearing from. They're not using the normal jump points. They're just appearing. Across the view screen, sleek black ships, unlike any human vessels previously encountered by the Vorsic, emerged from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. They moved with impossible speed, their hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. What manner of deception is this? Zoltak demanded. Those are not known human ship designs. The tactical officer's voice trembled as he replied, because they don't exist in any of our intelligence files, High Commander. The humans have been hiding their true capabilities. Admiral Helena Chen watched the tactical display from her command center beneath the lunar surface. Around her, the combined military leadership of Earth and its colonies monitored the first phase of humanity's counterattack. Ghost Fleet Alpha through Delta, deployed and engaging, reported General Santos of the Marine Corps. Quantum displacement drives functioning at optimal efficiency. Chen nodded with grim satisfaction. For decades, Earth had maintained two separate space forces, the visible one that conducted diplomacy, trade, and scientific exploration, and the Shadow Fleet developed in secret using technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel found on Mars before humans had even achieved routine spaceflight. The public didn't know about the Shadow Fleet. Neither did Earth's potential enemies until now. Status of the Nemesis platforms? Chen asked. All 6 are in position near Vorsic military installations, replied Admiral Takahashi, Commander of Special Operations, awaiting your order to activate. Chen studied the 3-dimensional representation of the battlefield. The Vorsic, true to their tactical doctrine, had consolidated their forces for a decisive strike against what they perceived as humanity's most valuable asset, the resource-rich Proxima colonies. They hadn't realized those colonies were bait. Commence Nemesis Protocol, Chen ordered. Priority targets as designated. Across 6 Vorsic military installations, shipyards, command centers, and supply depots, orbital platforms that had been disguised as communication relays suddenly transformed. Massive arrays unfolded like mechanical flowers blooming in the void, revealing weapons unlike anything the galaxy had yet witnessed. The Nemesis system, Mural Electromagnetic Massive Effects, Strategic Interdiction System, was humanity's ultimate deterrent, developed after their first encounter with hostile alien species. It didn't target ships or infrastructure, but rather the specific neural patterns of Vorsic biology, disrupting their ability to perceive and process information. Within minutes, confusion spread through the Vorsic command structure as officers found themselves unable to coordinate, communicate, or even comprehend basic tactical information. It wasn't lethal. Humanity hadn't resorted to genocide, but it effectively neutralized the Vorsic military capability without destroying their civilization. Ghost Fleet reports minimal resistance. General Santos announced. The Vorsik are standing down across all engagement zones. Admiral Chen's expression remained solemn. This victory brought no joy, only the grim satisfaction of justice served. Inform Captain Rice she may proceed with Phase 2. On the bridge of the horizon, now revealed to be far more than the diplomatic escort vessel it had appeared, Captain Nora Rice received the authorization from Earth Command. All ships form up, she ordered. Prepare to enter Vorsik's Central Command space. Weapons systems on standby, but ready. Her executive officer, Commander Takeshi Yamamoto, approached with a concerned expression. The Vorsik homeworld has significant civilian population centers, Captain. If they refuse to surrender, we're not here for vengeance, Commander, Nora said firmly. We're here to end this conflict decisively before it expands. No civilian targets. The horizon led the fleet through a quantum displacement jump, appearing directly above the Vorsik capital world of Vorkal. The planet's orbital defenses, formidable by any standard, stood ready but did not fire. The nemesis effect had reached this far, leaving the defense grid operators in a state of confusion. Open a channel to the Sovereign Council, Nora commanded. All frequencies, all languages. The communications officer worked rapidly. Channel open, Captain. We're broadcasting to their entire system. Nora stood, straightening her uniform. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of not just her ship or fleet, but of humanity itself. Leaders of the Vorsik Imperium, this is Captain Nora Rice of Earth. Your military forces have been neutralized across 6 sectors. Your communications and defense systems are under our control. This conflict can end now, with no further loss of life, or it can escalate beyond anything your strategists predicted. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. The choice Ambassador Jackson offered remains available: peaceful coexistence through mutual respect. The alternative is not one your civilization will survive. You have 1 hour to respond. The bridge fell silent as the transmission ended. The fate of 2 species hung in the balance. In the ancient chambers of the Sovereign Council on Vorkal, panic had given way to stunned silence. The Supreme Sovereign, a massive Vorsik whose age-darkened exoskeleton bore the ceremonial etchings of 1,000 successful campaigns, turned his compound eyes toward High Minister Zalara. "How is this possible?" he asked, his translated voice barely above a whisper. "Our intelligence indicated the humans possessed minimal military capability. Primitive kinetic weapons, basic energy shields. Nothing approaching this level of technological sophistication." Zalara, one of the few female Vorsik to achieve high office, adjusted her ceremonial mantle. "Supreme One, it appears we have been deceived, not by human lies, but by our own assumptions. They showed us what they wanted us to see. Like prey animals using camouflage," hissed another counselor. "No," Zalara corrected. "Like predators lying in wait." The Supreme Sovereign considered this. The dissection of their ambassador. What did our scientists learn? An uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber before the science minister replied. "Physically, humans appear unremarkable. Average strength for their size, no natural weapons, limited sensory capacity. But their neural structure," he hesitated, "it's unlike anything we've encountered, incredibly adaptable, with redundant systems and unusual connections between analytical and emotional processing centers." "You're saying they think differently," the Sovereign summarized. "Fundamentally so," the science minister confirmed. "They approach problems from perspectives we would never consider. And their social structures favor both cooperation and individual innovation simultaneously, a paradox by our standards." The Sovereign rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the ancient chamber. "Then we have made a grave error in judgment. These humans are not merely another species to be subjugated or eliminated. They are something new." He turned to his communications minister. "Prepare a response to the humans. We will accept their terms for immediate cessation of hostilities." As the council erupted in a mixture of protests and relief, the Sovereign added, and arrange a direct communication with this Captain Rice. I wish to understand the species that has accomplished in days what no civilization has managed in 10,000 cycles, the complete neutralization of Forsic military might. 3 days later, Captain Nora Rice stood in a newly constructed neutral meeting facility orbiting between Vorkel and its largest moon. With her was a small delegation of Earth's diplomatic and military leadership, including Admiral Chen herself. Across the circular table sat the Supreme Sovereign and 6 members of his council, including High Minister Zilara, who had emerged as a voice of moderation within the Vorsic government. "Let us speak plainly," the Sovereign began, his translated voice filling the chamber. "You could have destroyed our civilization, yet you chose restraint. Why?" Admiral Chen deferred to Nora, who had been appointed interim ambassador following the loss of Jackson's team. "Because destruction was never our goal," Nora replied simply. "Humanity has survived its own violent history long enough to learn that annihilation solves nothing. What we seek is understanding, and when necessary, respect." The Sovereign's compound eyes studied her. "The respect you now have. The understanding may take longer. But I must ask, why the deception? Why hide your true capabilities for so long?" Nora exchanged glances with Admiral Chen, who nodded slightly. "When humanity first ventured beyond our solar system," Nora explained, "we encountered evidence of civilizations that had been destroyed for developing too quickly, becoming threats before they could become partners. We made a decision then to present ourselves as less advanced than we truly were, while developing defenses that could protect us if necessary. A wise precaution," High Minister Zilara observed, "one we failed to consider in our assessment of your species." "Ambassador Jackson believed in genuine peace between our peoples," Nora continued, a hint of emotion finally breaking through her professional demeanor. "His mission was sincere. The technology we revealed after his murder was never meant to be used unless absolutely necessary." The Sovereign made a gesture that the translators indicated showed deep regret. High Commander Zoltak's actions were not authorized by this council. He believed that by demonstrating Vorsic's superiority, he would force your species into submission without the need for prolonged conflict. "A costly miscalculation," Admiral Chen noted dryly. "One for which he has been removed from command and will face justice," the Sovereign assured them. "But now we must look to the future. Your species has shown itself to be both more powerful and more merciful than we anticipated. These are traits the Imperium can respect." Nora nodded. "Then let us begin again, with truth between us this time. The treaty Ambassador Jackson proposed still stands: defined borders, shared access to resources, and protocols for resolving future disputes without bloodshed. With one addition," Admiral Chen interjected: "a formal alliance against genuine threats to galactic stability. There are forces in this galaxy older and more dangerous than either of our civilizations. We would be stronger facing them together." The Sovereign's massive form shifted as he considered this proposal. Finally, he extended a clawed appendage toward the human delegation. "On behalf of the Vorsic Imperium, I accept these terms. Let this day mark not just the end of a brief war, but the beginning of a lasting peace." As Nora reached across to complete the ceremonial gesture, she thought of Ambassador Jackson and his team. Their sacrifice had led not just to justice, but to the very outcome they had sought from the beginning: a genuine understanding between species. The Vorsic had learned that appearances could be deceiving. Humanity had demonstrated that strength didn't require cruelty. And the galaxy would never be quite the same. 6 months later, Captain Nora Rice stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned diplomatic station Phoenix, watching as human and Vorsic ships moved peacefully through the shared space of the Proxima system. The station, named in honor of humanity's capacity for renewal, served as both memorial to Ambassador Jackson's team and testament to the peace they had ultimately achieved. "Would you have done it differently?" asked Admiral Chen, who had come aboard for the station's dedication ceremony. "If you could go back to that first moment when we received Jackson's remains." Nora considered the question carefully. I would have tried harder to find a peaceful solution, she finally said. But I wouldn't change our response once diplomacy failed. Sometimes the only language certain entities understand is strength. Chen nodded, gazing out at the stars. The Vorsic aren't the only species watching us now. Our little demonstration has attracted attention across the galactic arm. Good, Nora replied firmly. Let them see what happens when someone mistakes humanity's desire for peace as weakness. Let them understand that we will always extend a hand in friendship first, but we're capable of extending something very different if that hand is bitten off. As if to emphasize her point, a sleek black ship of the Shadow Fleet passed by the station, momentarily visible before its quantum displacement drive activated, causing it to simply vanish from normal space. The Supreme Sovereign asked me an interesting question yesterday, Chen said. He wanted to know if there were other technologies we haven't revealed yet. Nora smiled slightly. What did you tell him? The truth, Chen replied. That humanity has only begun to discover what we're capable of, and that we hope never to need to demonstrate our full potential. The two women stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Earth had needed only one reason to go to war, and had found one lasting reason to maintain peace. The galaxy was vast and often dangerous, but humanity had proven it would hold its own among the stars. Not through conquest or intimidation, but through the unique human balance of diplomacy backed by resolve, compassion tempered with strength, and an unwavering determination to protect their own while still reaching out to others. The price had been high, but as Ambassador Jackson had believed, understanding was worth the cost.